Okay, everybody, thanks for taking a seat and listening. Today, we are going to work on something really exciting. I really like this subject a lot. Have you ever looked around and wondered like why we have lots of different kinds of apples, like red and green and yellow? Okay, well, what are some of the things that you think of when we say the words traits? Do you know what a trait is?
No.
No, you can't remember what a trait is?
No.
Well, when you think about what we have similar to your brothers and your sisters, those are traits that you get from, do you know where you get that from?
Mom and Dad?
Yeah, good. Yeah, your parents. So sort of like we get traits from our parents that make us similar, but not exactly the same. So do us plants, right? And other animals. So we're going to watch, what we're going to do today is we're going to watch a lesson on Mystery Science lesson with Doug. And we're going to look at the question, why are some apples red and some green? What do you think about that? That sound like a good, something fun?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started with the video. We're gonna listen, and then after we're done with the video, we're gonna actually do a taste test on some of these apples to see what the difference is. Okay, let's get started here. There we go.
A few thousand years ago, every apple on Earth looked something like this. They were called wild apples, or sometimes known as crab apples, and they were small. So small, you might think they were just little berries. They hardly had any fruit on them, maybe only one bite.
Okay, well, let's think about that. After we saw that there are different kinds and you would be able to grow your own sweet ones, how could you grow your own sweet apples? Any ideas?
We could try to get more apples and plant all the seeds.
You mean like...
try to get a lot of apples.
So try to go to the store and get lots of varieties of apples and okay. All right, let's see what Doug has. Here's one idea. That's very similar to what you said, Kaiser. It says, you could plant the seeds from inside the sweet apples you find at the grocery store. Very good. All right, let's continue.
Those look good.
How could you grow sweet apples in your backyard?
Okay, what we're going to do here is we're also going to work in pairs with your partner to discuss this question. In what ways are you different than your siblings? And if you don't have siblings, then you can discuss like in what ways maybe your cousins are different or your friends are different. But talk to your partner and discuss what ways you are different than your brother or your sisters, if you have any. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna discuss with our partner, we're gonna discuss this question. How did we get from small crab apples thousands of years ago to large red and green apples today? So turn to your partner and discuss how we think that we got the answers, and then I'll give you guys a couple minutes. And then we'll go over, you guys can give us your answers, okay? Okay, so what are some of the answers that we got that you and your partner discussed? Yeah, go ahead.
Selection by selection.
Oh, okay. What's that? What is that? What does selection mean?
By choosing the apples that we like.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay, let's see here what it says here. Every few years, farmers grew bigger and bigger apples by selecting their favorites from apple trees. So that's right. So we selected the apples that were our favorites, right? And then we keep on growing those bigger and bigger until we have the biggest of our favorite apples. Okay, let's continue.
All this talk about apples is probably making you hungry.
That's true, right?
And hopefully it's making you a little curious too. What do all these different varieties of apples taste like? Get ready to taste them and compare. You're going to sample a few varieties of apples today and write down your observations. Here's the things you need: a copy of the apple taste test sheet, a paper towel or paper plate, a pencil or pen, and a toothpick for picking up the apple pieces. When you're done with this step, press the arrow on the right.
Okay, everybody should have their apples in front of them. I know everybody wants to eat them. We're excited to start the test. And you should have your printout too, which is your apple taste test. So does everybody have that? Let's make sure everyone has the sheets. You need a sheet. Here you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Okay, is anybody want to volunteer which their favorite ones are from the different kinds? Is show of hands, Granny Smith? No, no, not as many. Show of hands of Red Delicious. Those ones seem to be more popular. Golden Delicious. No? Honey Crisp. Okay, good. Great. See, we have the different types of favorites, huh? Okay. We are going to now graph our data so that we can put together what everybody likes in the classroom. But before we do that, you guys are going to get another worksheet. You guys should have that. We're going to answer questions individually about the project, okay? So when we get someone to pass these out. Okay, now that you've had time to write your answers, let's go around and we can discuss some of these questions. So first, how are grocery store apples different than wild apples, crab apples? Does anybody remember back to the beginning of the video? Yes, go ahead.
That they're bigger.
What's bigger, the crab apples?
No, the grocery apples.
Okay. All right. And what about the ones? What about their taste? Does anyone remember what the taste? Did they taste the same?
No, the crab apples weren't as sweet as the ones or sour as the ones that we have at the grocery stores.
That's right. 2. How have humans made sweeter apples?
By selection.
Good. And what do they mean by selection? What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, go ahead.
By choosing the apples that they want.
By choosing the apples that they want, right?
That they like.
Right. So what were some of the other examples that they gave of not just apples, there was other fruit, right? Does anybody remember?
Pears.
Pears, and was one more that they discussed?
Blueberries.
Blueberries, grapes. Yeah, so all of these, when we go to the grocery store, all of these different types of fruits really are there because we've selected them, right? Okay, and the last question before we start to graph our apples to see who's the winner of this class. What, if you were to create your own apple variety, what would you select other than size, sweetness, and colors? Please sit down. Thank you. Actually, this one you can discuss with your partner. What kind of apple variety? And then we'll get started on graphing all of our data. Thank you, guys. Okay, and then finally, after we're done with graphing our data, you guys can log on to Kahoot, and we're going to play Genius Challenge, a variation of traits game. So once you guys are done, if you're sitting down quietly and you've turned in your sheets, then we'll turn to play this Kahoot game.